During a Senate committee discussion on proposed ethics reforms, a sharp disagreement emerged over a bill aimed at restricting stock trading and financial holdings by elected officials. Senator Rick Scott pushed back against criticisms of his position, responding to claims that he had previously supported the legislation without seeking improvements. He said that while he agrees lawmakers should not be trading stocks while in office, the bill as written goes much further than that. Scott argued that the proposal unfairly targets individuals who built businesses before entering public service. He warned that the legislation could force lawmakers to sell illiquid assets, such as privately held companies, at unfavorable times, potentially destroying businesses they spent years building.
What other changes we can make to straighten this bill?
Senator Scott.
So first off, Senator Hawley, you said that I voted for the bill before. You also committed to work with me to improve the bill, which you didn't do. So let's think about where we are. I think everybody on this committee, nobody wants people to do trading. I think we all would agree with that.
Your mic on?
Yeah. Nobody would like people to do trading. We've watched Nancy Pelosi. Seems like she's figured out how to make a fortune off of trading. We'd all like to make as much money as she made in trading. I don't know anybody in the country that's done that well. So, but if you look at this, if you have a small business, you come up here, all right? It's illiquid. There's no buyer. What are you going to do? You just give it away. No. So you're telling people, let me finish. Okay, there's no buyer. If it's illiquid, there's no buyer. That's why it's called illiquid, right? You made a reference to billionaires, okay? I don't know when in this country it became a negative to make money. But somehow, if you've made money, you're supposedly, I think Senator Hawley suggests, you shouldn't be serving because you might trade stocks. Now, I came up here, I made money. I started out never knowing my dad, living in public housing. I lived the dream that many of us wanted to live, not be broke. I went to junior college, joined the Navy. I didn't go to some elite university. I went to the cheapest place I could find, and I went and built businesses. But somehow now, if you've made money, somehow it's negative up here. I did what Senator Johnson did. When I became governor of Florida, I sold my operating businesses, right? I did a blind trust while I was governor. I never saw what was in the blind trust. I never traded one thing that was in the blind trust. Somebody else did it. Now in this job, I don't trade stocks. I don't own operating businesses. But somehow it's suspect because I made money. I don't know how many people in the audience, how many of you don't want to make money? Anybody want to be poor? I don't. Right? So this idea that we're going to attack people because they make money is wrong. Is absolutely wrong. We should cherish all of our different backgrounds. Every one of us has a different background. I've got a business background. But what I was just accused of is making money, and somehow I can't be fair and do things the right way. So I think it's disgusting what is going on here. So, but I agree with I completely agree with you. We've got to stop people from trading stocks. But this is way different. This is an attack against the president, attack against the vice president. That's what this is. So I think it's wrong.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to correct that Senator Scott said that if you have a small business, you'd be forced to sell it. Small businesses are explicitly exempted under this bill. The 1,200 employees, they are not covered. If you have a small business, you can maintain your ownership in that business throughout the entire time. And I don't mind anybody being rich. What I mind is people getting rich while they're here trading stock, which I think we can all agree on, and this bill would put a stop to.
So 1,200 employees. I had one company with 285,000 employees. That was publicly traded, but when it was private, it was not liquid. I had a variety of manufacturing companies that had a lot of employees. That stock was illiquid. I mean, if If any of you bought and sold companies, you do not have, oh, somebody's going to buy today. I know I can walk out the door and there'll be somebody to buy the company. So we're going to make people sell things when it might be an absolute worst time to sell something. And they busted their butt to go build that business, and then they want to come up here and serve, and then we say, well, you got to give up your net worth. That's wrong.
I'd like to make one quick point, then Senator Johnson. On the idea of whether you're a small business or not, I was a physician. There was 150 physicians in my practice, and we owned a bunch of stuff altogether. And we probably had 1,500, 2,000 employees. Sounds like I would have to divest as well. So you could be a small member of a large group that has a lot of money and a lot of employees, and you'd have to divest. I think there's just a lot of things that are not thought through here. Senator Johnson.
I'd like to make a couple more points. I've been here now for 15 years.
He also rejected the idea that financial success should disqualify someone from serving in government. Scott described his own background, saying he grew up in public housing, attended a community college, joined the Navy, and built businesses from the ground up. He emphasized that success should not be treated as a liability in public service. The senator noted that when he became governor of Florida, he sold his operating businesses and placed his remaining assets into a blind trust. He said he has not traded stocks while serving in the Senate and questioned why his financial history is being treated as suspicious. Scott called the accusations against him disgusting and accused supporters of the bill of using ethics reform as a political weapon. He claimed the legislation ultimately amounts to an attack on the president and vice president rather than a genuine effort to improve ethics standards. In response, the bill's supporters pushed back, clarifying that small businesses are explicitly exempt under the legislation. They stated that businesses with fewer than 1,200 employees would not be affected and that the bill is narrowly focused on preventing lawmakers from enriching themselves through stock trading while in office. However, Scott remained unconvinced. He argued that many privately held companies, even large ones, are illiquid and cannot easily be sold on demand. Forcing divestment, he said, could require lawmakers to sell at the worst possible moment, effectively stripping them of their life's work simply to serve in Congress. Other senators echoed those concerns. One lawmaker noted that professionals such as physicians who are part of large medical groups could also be forced to divest under the bill, even if they are only minor stakeholders. The senator warned that these scenarios suggest the legislation has not been fully thought through. As the debate continued, senators acknowledged shared agreement on one principle: members of Congress should not be trading stocks while in office. But deep divisions remain over how far ethics reform should go and whether the current proposal strikes the right balance between accountability and fairness.